So I switched laptops, folks. Folks. My mother my HP laptop went stupid on me. So I gotta use this gateway laptop to do all this. My Outlook email address and all that. Just get in this motherfucker. You know. But enough of me. But enough about me talking shit. Let's talk about let's talk about one of the Latino legends in professional wrestling, Eddie Guerrero, Eduardo Guerrero Llanes. This guy here. Let me tell you about this guy. It's a story about him right here. We'll go. It's a little bit we can tell. Man was born on October 9th, 1967. He was an American professional wrestler. Okay. He was an American professional wrestler, a prominent member of the Guerrero family, the Guerrero wrestling family. Okay. I'll tell you what happened. This man was being the son of a first generation professional wrestler, goes by the name of I think it's Guerrero, who had later passed away in 1990. He was widely considered considered to be one of the greatest and most influential professional wrestlers of all time here. We're going into the story here of Eddie Guerrero. This is his story. Boy, Guerrero performed in he performed. Let me tell you about Eddie Guerrero. He performed in Mexico and Japan for several major professional wrestling promotions. And in the US, he performed for ECW, WCW, and most notably the the former WWF, which was now the WWE. Guerrero's gimmick was that of a Latino heat, a crafty, resourceful wrestler who would do anything to win a match. His catchphrase is became "I lie, I cheat, I steal," and was used in one of his entrance themes. He partly used this phrase in the title of his 2005 autobiography. The autobiography that came out with is a book called "Cheating Death, Stealing Life." It's an autobiography that was on DVD. Despite being a heel for most of his career, he was popular in and out of the ring and was at his peak. And was at the peak of his career as a babyface, a face, during the 2003-2005, becoming the top wrestler on the SmackDown brand in 2004. So this is after he was leaving to go to Ring of Honor, but he came back from Ring of Honor. He experienced various substance abuse problems, including alcoholism and an addiction to painkillers. These real life issues were sometimes incorporated into his storylines that were sometimes incorporated. Guerrero, he spent his early career wrestling in Mexican promotions and forming a popular tag team with Art Barr. After the death of Barr, Guerrero received his first mainstream exposure in the United States in 1995 by joining ECW and winning ECW World Television Championship. 2 times. Later that year, Guerrero, Guerrero moved to the WCW, where he became their United States champion and their cruiserweight champion, and also led to the Latino World Order, the LWO. He left WCW in 2000 after the company failed to elevate him to a main event spot. He moved to the WWF, which was now the WWE, during the dawning days of the Attitude Era, with his colleagues Chris Benoit, especially Christopher Michael Benoit, who had later passed away in 2007, along with his wife Nancy Toffoloni and their son Daniel Benoit, who was like a brother to his other son David Benoit. Dean Malenko, who was still alive, and Perry Saturn, who formed a group that's called the Radicals. The Radicals. Guerrero went on to win. I gotta relay this again. The European Championship, which was already been later retired. That's the WWF European Championship. That got retired in the WWF Intercontinental Championship. This is long before the name change from the WWF to the WWE. So they're about to go get the F out. That's what they're doing. Before he was released in 2001 due to issues with a bad addiction. After being rehired in 2002. This is this is when he left. This is when he was leaving. He was leaving for Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, that a company was already like about to be facing some financial problems, and they about to be like all the way about to be bought by Tony Khan like over a year or two. But Guerrero left Ring of Honor to come back to the WWE. So he formed Los Guerreros with Chavo Guerrero Jr., who was the son of his older brother Chavo Guerrero Sr., who had passed away in 2017. You know what I mean? Winning the WWE Tag Team Championship and establishing himself on the SmackDown brand, he climbed to the main event status and won the WWE Championship, his sole world championship. This was in a match that he had with Brock Lesnar. Goldberg was he was in attendance in the crowd. Okay, okay, he was in attendance in the crowd. Then later he jumped the barricade or something. He just interfered in Guerrero's match. The referee wasn't even looking at it. The referee was like down or something. The referee was down. So Goldberg Goldberg had attacked Lesnar, and then he got kicked out of the building. Probably by security or the police. I don't know. But it's led to something that we did not find anything out. My thing is, we're going to other things that already led to what happened is leading to Guerrero winning the WWE Championship from Lesnar. I think it's because of Goldberg interfering in it in the match. Even though Goldberg and Guerrero they had that WCW bond ever since they know each other in WCW back in like late '90s when Goldberg had came. You know, yeah. Bill Goldberg was a ex football player. He was a professional football player, I think, or a college football player, one of the two. That's before Goldberg went to WCW in '97. He was a football player. Okay, Eddie Guerrero, before he came, uh, before his father, Gory Guerrero died. Gory Guerrero, his father, died in like 1990. Him and Vicky Lynn Guerrero, which was now Vicky Benson, uh, had tied the knot. You know, he married her. He married her for the reasons, all from the beginning to the end, or for better or worse type of thing. So we all led to seeing that happen. So we all knew what happened in those times when when Eddie Guerrero was a wrestler, a good ass wrestler. He had problems with he had addiction issues, so that's what he had. But some things did not want to put on notice or on newspaper or whatever. Yeah, yeah. I had to explain this again. Guerrero had climbed to the main event status. So after after Goldberg was kicked out of the out of the arena. My thing is the referee had to get up on his own. He had to crawl to the mat of the ring. Well, before he had to crawl to the ring, to the mat of the ring. See, this is when all went completely crazy with Eddie Guerrero. Well, that's about to be like TV show wise anyway. So, shit, let's go read it. Let's read it now, because I see now people get addicted to painkillers and all that, and they end up dying in the hotel rooms. He lost the title later that year. He remained a popular main eventer until his death on November 13th, 2005. He was posthumously inducted into the WWE AAA Wrestling Observer Newsletter and the Hardcore Halls of Fame. Look into the early life of Eddie Guerrero right now. He was born and raised in El Paso, Texas, where he graduated from Thomas Jefferson High School. He attended the University of New Mexico and then New Mexico Highlands University on an athletic scholarship that it was there that Guerrero entered the collegiate wrestling before moving to Mexico to train as a professional wrestler. A professional wrestler. He followed the footsteps of his brothers. His brothers, I think it was Mondo, Mondo, Hector, and Chavo. Classic. And they're that gory. They're that gory. You know what I mean? Their father Gory, who had also wrestled in Mexico as a little boy. He would attend to the wrestling promotions held by Gory Guerrero at the El Paso County Coliseum. Guerrero's father allowed him and his nephew Chavo to wrestle each other during intermissions. We got the professional wrestling career here, the 80s and 90s. Guerrero debuted. Guerrero has, let me tell you about Eddie Guerrero. He had debuted in wrestling in 1986, and in 1989, he appeared with WCW as a jobber. He appeared with World Championship Wrestling as a jobber, one of those job guys. Most notably, wrestling Terry Funk. He wrestled Terry Funk, rest in peace, in 1991. He would return for Wrestle War, wrestling a dark match, teaming with Ultraman to defeat Huicho and Rudy Boy Gonzalez. Guerrero wrestled as the original Mascara Magica in CMLL. It was a wrestling promotion until its departure in 1992. The career with Triple A. He left the company. Just to pursue a career with the Triple A wrestling promotion. Although the Mascara Magica gimmick was popular in CMLL, owned the rights to that character. To the character, Guerrero then appeared on a televised Triple A show as the Mascara Magica, only to then unmask himself along with the aid of his tag team partner. His tag team partner that night, Octagon, being physically attacked by the opposing tag team for doing so. That's the Triple A. In Mexico, Guerrero wrestled mainly for Triple A, teaming with El Hijo del Santo, the new version of La Pareja Atomica. It's the Atomic Pair, the tag team of his dad, Gory Guerrero, and this El Santo guy. After Guerrero turned on Santo and allied with Art Barr as La Pareja del Terror, the Pair of Terror, the duo became arguably the most hated tag team in Lucha Libre history, along with Barr, Conan, Chicano Power, and who had to be Madonna's boyfriend, who should be known and not named. Guerrero formed Los Gringos Locos, that means the crazy Americans, a villainous stable that Guerrero said that no matter how many people joined the Los Gringos Locos stable, the stable was all about Bar. Locos mostly feuded with El Hijo, was it El Hijo El Hijo del Santo, and his partner Octagon, eventually ending in a hair versus mask match at the first Lucha pay-per-view in America when worlds collide, which that they lost. Guerrero and Barr's first break would come when they were noticed in late 1994 by the owner of ECW, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was executive producer and talent coordinator of that time. Before he became an owner. This was before he became an owner, bro. And they both were approached about wrestling. Yeah, Guerrero Bar were approached. They were approached about wrestling for Heyman. in 1995. Barr, however, died before he could join ECW with Guerrero. There's New Japan. 92, Guerrero began wrestling in Japan for the NJPW New Japan Pro Wrestling Company, where he was known as the second incarnation of the Black Tiger character. He became more successful upon his return when he won the 1996 Best of the Super Juniors tournament of junior heavyweights. He received a shot at the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Oh yeah, the great Sasuke, who was the Junior Heavyweight Champion of IWGP. But Skydiving Jay lost the match. There's ECW. Guerrero won the ECW World TV title from Too Cold Scorpio in his debut match for ECW on April 8th, 1995 at Three-Way Dance. He went on to have a series of acclaimed matches with Dean Malenko before they both signed with World Championship Wrestling, the WCW. Later that year, Guerrero lost the TV championship, the ECW TV championship, to Malenko on July the 21st of that year, but Guerrero regained the title on July the 28th. Guerrero lost the ECW TV championship, television championship, back to Cold Scorpio on August the 25th. That was late August of that year. August 25th, 1995, I think. The next day, they had their last match, which kind of ended in a draw in a 2 out of 3 falls match in the ECW arena. After the match, the locker room emptied. The locker room kind of empty, and the two were carried around the ring by the fellow wrestlers, while the crowd chanted, "Please don't go, please don't go, please don't go." Their last match, it was shown on the Rise and Fall of ECW. And off to WCW. And off to WCW they go. The debut championship reigns between 95 and 97 and 2000 and the World Championship Wrestling debut now. Guerrero returned to WCW in late 1995 along with Malenko and Benoit, with who he had worked with in NJPW and ECW. During his first pay-per-view events, his first PPV events, he competed in dark matches against Alex Wright. His first televised pay-per-view appearance at World War III, as used up, where he competed in a 3-ring, 60-man World War III Battle Royal for the vacant WCW World Heavyweight Championship, the WCW World Heavyweight title. That title, don't know what happened to that title. Guerrero was one of the final 9 men in the Battle Royal, notably being one of the 2 men in the group to be under the ages of 35 or other, being the giant, until he was tossed out of the ring by 4 Horsemen members at Starrcade World Cup World Cup of Wrestling in December 1995. Yeah, in 1995, in December of that year, Guerrero was represented WCW in a WCW versus NJPW World Cup tournament, which saw him losing to Shinjiro Otani in the match. But WCW, let me tell you about this. But WCW would go on to win the series at 4-3. In 1996, Guerrero received several shots at the U.S. heavyweight title against Conan at Uncensored, and Ric Flair at Hog Wild. He feuded with Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. During 1996, after Guerrero's partner Arn Anderson, after Guerrero's partner Arn Anderson, Double A himself, the enforcer Arn Anderson, turned on him during a tag team match against Ric Flair and Randy Savage. And everybody knows Ric Flair and Randy Savage very well. In late 1996, that's where the NWO happened in July of '96. He feuded with DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, after defeating him in a match at Clash of the Champions XXXIII. He started feuding with Diamond Dallas Page to steal his nickname. The nickname was Lord of the Ring, but lost. Guerrero had participated in a tournament for the vacant WCW WCW United States Heavyweight Championship, U.S. Heavyweight title. And he defeated Diamond Dallas Page. He defeated Page in the final round at Starrcade to win the U.S. title, the U.S. Championship title in December of '96. In 1997, Guerrero defended the U.S. Heavyweight Championship against the guys that he battled. Scott Norton at Clash of the Champions XXXIV. Shawn Waltman. He was known as the Lightning Kid, 123 Kid, and Six and X-Pac. He was six at WCW. Yeah, he had to go against Shawn Waltman, who had to be six, in a ladder match at Sold Out. And Chris Jericho at Super Brawl VII. That's Super Brawl 7. That's Super Brawl 7. That's VII. That's 7. His reign come to an end at Uncensored when Malenko defeated him for the title. After losing the U.S. Heavyweight title belt, Guerrero feuded with Jericho, focusing on Jericho's Cruiserweight Championship title belt. He challenged Jericho for the title at the Clash of the Champions XXXV, but lost. Guerrero demanded a rematch for the title in the opening match of Fall Brawl '96. Guerrero defeated Jericho to win the WCW World Cruiserweight Championship belt, but he dropped the Cruiserweight title. To his buddy Rey Mysterio. Who is now working for the WWE. So yeah, he dropped it to him at the inaugural Halloween Havoc pay-per-view in a title versus mask match, where Mysterio's mask was also on the line on the November 10th episode of Monday Night Nitro. He regained the Cruiserweight title from Mysterio, and he made a successful title defense against Mysterio at World War III after retaining the title against Dean Malenko in the opening bout of Starrcade. In December of 1997, Guerrero dropped the title to Ultimo Dragon the following day. On the December 29th episode of Nitro. The LWO Filthy Animals story. The LWO Filthy Animals, that story kind of what left. On March 9th, 1998, The episode of Nitro. Guerrero's nephew, Chavo Guerrero, lost to Booker T. Booker T was now working for WWE. Booker T was now working for WWE. Well, he's a commentator for NXT now. He lost to Chavo Guerrero in a match. Now I've got Guerrero's nephew Chavo lost to Booker in a match. Then after the match, Guerrero delivered a suplex to Chavo. Why would anyone deliver a suplex to Chavo for that main purpose of teaching him a lesson on the March 12th episode of Thunder, the Thunder taping? He defeated his nephew Chavo in a match. Why would Eddie defeat Chavo in a match and forcing him to become a slave of his? I don't know. But uncensored, Chavo Chavo was forced enough to support uh, his uncle when he faced Booker T for that WCW World TV title, that WCW World TV title that Booker used to be holding with him. Booker used to hold that WCW World TV title. That TV title was held by many guys. Okay, well, Pillman held it like once. Brian Pillman held it once. Rest in peace. Uh, but Guerrero lost the match after receiving a missile drop kick. Guerrero and Chavo, Eddie and Chavo, Guerrero, they feuding with Ultimo Dragon, the legendary Ultimo Dragon. Chavo lost to Dragon at Spring Stampede at Slamboree. Slamboree, Guerrero defeated Dragon despite the interference from Chavo. After the match, Chavo kissed Eddie and began to display the insane behavior at the Great American Bash. Chavo got an upset victory over his Uncle Eddie Guerrero. They faced each other in a hair versus hair match at the Bash at the what's that Bash at the beach. They faced each other in a hair versus hair match at the inaugural Bash at the Beach pay-per-view when it's Bash at the Beach pay-per-view when Guerrero had, that's what happened with Guerrero. Guerrero had won the match. He continued to show his crazy behavior. Chavo would shave his own head while Guerrero looking on in disbelief. Guerrero saved Chavo from beatings by Stevie Ray. That's Booker T's brother. That's Booker T's older brother, by the way. That's his big brother. That's Booker's older brother. That's Lane Huffman. Seeming that he would align with Chavo, but he wanted his release. Despite his success and popularity, Guerrero had been one of the many wrestlers who were frustrated at never being given a chance to be the main event stars in the WCW. In the WCW, these situations, these frustrations, these these frustrations, what came to a head when Guerrero requested that WCW president Eric Bischoff either push his character or give him a raise for family reasons. Bischoff responded by allegedly throwing coffee at Guerrero, but Guerrero just threw water at himself instead. He tried to imitate what really happened at the backstage. However, in his autobiography in the book that Guerrero stated that Bischoff that's what happened. Bischoff Bischoff accidentally knocking his coffee off the table, and that it was a complete accident that he was hit. Furious, furious, furious Guerrero demanded Bischoff release him from his contract on a live episode of Nitro. Guerrero then left the company for months, angry at Bischoff for what he had done. Guerrero later returned to WCW, leading to the belief that maybe Guerrero's angry speeches against Bischoff were like a work. That Guerrero later confirmed it to be a worked shoot. It could be it could confirmed to be a shoot, a worked shoot. Guerrero would later contradict himself on WWE's DVD the Monday Night War, claiming that he tried to put personal differences aside for the good of the company, yet found himself angry and outraged once more because of Bischoff's supposed continued refusal to elevate Guerrero and other similar wrestlers. He let Brian Adams he let Brian Adams pin him and get an upset victory in a match. On screen, Guerrero responded to Bischoff's actions by forming the Latino World Order, the LWO Latino World Order, which was a takeoff of Bischoff's New World Order, the NWO. The NWO. The group was an answer to Bischoff's refusal to push Latino wrestlers in the ways that they felt they deserved. The LWO was formed in October when Guerrero returned to WCW with Hector Garza and Damien. The group kind of eventually grew to encompass almost all the Mexican wrestlers working for the WCW. At the time, they mainly feuded with Rey Mysterio Jr. and Billy Kidman, because they wanted Mysterio to join the group, but he faced Kidman in a match. Kidman he faced him in the match for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship, but Mysterio he interfered and helped in helping Kidman win the match and keep the title. However, Guerrero was involved in a car accident on New Year's Day, 1999, that cut short of the LWO storyline. After his return on May 31st of 1999, that was the end of May. Well, I was out of, I was out of school. I was out of school that day. See, the episode of Monday Nitro, Guerrero became a founding member of the Filthy Animals faction. Alongside Rey Mysterio Jr. and Conan, they feuded with the Deadpool, which was known as the Insane Clown Posse. Joseph Bruce, Joseph Utzler, and he had Ian Hodgkinson, who had to be Vampiro. That's Vampiro, he's Canadian, who had to be Ian Hodgkinson. They received two straight victories over the Deadpool at World Wild and Fall Brawl. They next feuded with the Revolution that was made of the franchise Shane Douglas, well, Chris Benoit, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn. Guerrero was so victorious over Saturn by disqualification in a singles match at Halloween Havoc. Halloween Havoc and May and that May at then at the pay per view it's called Mayhem. Mayhem. The Animals lost to Revolution in a mixed tag team elimination match when Vince Russo came in to WCW. He came there in like 1999, I think, after he was leaving the WWE at that period. So he screwed over the promotion to go join up with WCW. Uh, this all happens, and it happened when Vince Russo had got into an argument with Bill Bush. With Bill Bush, I think he wanted to be out of his contract. Russo wanted out of his contract with the WCW. So he was a booker. He was a booker for the WCW. So they fired him. This is when they fired Vince Russo as a booker of WCW. Uh, and then they replaced him. They replacing him with Kevin Sullivan, who was a booker since the 90s. I mean, he was a matchmaker, a match booker. So that's what's all became known. Guerrero, Guerrero's been asking for and receiving a release from his WCW contract on January 19th, 2000. He signed with the then WWF in 2000, along with the fellow WCW stars such as Benoit, Malenko, and Saturn. But they were in the crowd. We're going straight to the WWE. You know what I mean? Well, that's the picture of Guerrero and Venus. Val Venus, who was Sean Moley. That was the King of the Ring in June of 2000. Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn debuted in the WWF, the then WWF, on the January 31st, 2000 episode of Raw is War as the Radicals. The Radicals interfering in a match involving the New Age Outlaws that was made of Brian James, aka the Road Dog, Jesse James, and Montana Sop, who's now working for AEW. He was used to be working for the WWE, you know, as a Billy Gunn. Uh, New Age Outlaws, Brian James and Monty Sop, uh, aka the Road Dog and Billy Gunn. You know, the Radicals interfered in a match involving them, involving uh, James and Gunn, involving James and Gunn, establishing themselves as the baby faces. During his first match with the company, with the then WWF, which was now became the WWE, a tag team match with Perry Saturn against the New Age Outlaws. Guerrero performed a frog splash. Rob Van Dam used that move first, anyways, or whoever used it, where made the best frog splashes is Rob Van Dam, Mister. Mister. The whole fucking show. Rob Van Dam. They both used a similar uh high fly maneuvers, same high fly maneuvers. The 5 star and the frog splash. It's two of them. It's two of them. It's the same thing, especially different. Guerrero performed a frog splash off the top rope and dislocated his elbow. He dislocated it when he started landing the move. As a result, he was so sidelined for several weeks. Several weeks he was sidelined. Guerrero and Saturn had. Let me tell you about this. Guerrero and Saturn had originally been booked, very badly to defeat James and Gunn. But due to his injury, Guerrero he's panicking and telling Brian, who had to be Road Dog, who was in the tag team match with uh with Monty, who had to be Billy Gunn, against Guerrero and Saturn to immediately pin him after losing their tryout matches. Upon entry, the Radicals aligned themselves with the WWF champion Triple H. Well, that title's changed from WWF to WWE. So they aligned themselves with Triple H, who was the champion in the then WWF, and became a heel faction. In March, Guerrero, who was wrestling as a heel, began pursuing the affections of China, who he referred to as his mamacita. At the time, China was allies with Chris Jericho. With Chris Jericho was now working for AEW, so on with the WWE, so on with the WWE. So, and initially rejected his advances. China was like allies with the guy, and what else could China do initially? Rejecting his advances. The night after WrestleMania 2000, after WrestleMania 2000, on the April 3rd, 2000 episode of Raw's War, uh, Guerrero faced off against Jericho in the European Championship. During the match, China turned on Jericho and then helped Guerrero win the title. And later she explained her actions by declaring that she could not resist his Latino heat. After Guerrero abandoned Lita to be attacked by the Dudley Boys, he and China began a feud with S.A. Rios and Lita. Well, this was congeniality, who had to be Lita, uh, ending in a European title defense at Backlash, which was also billed as the night of Guerrero's prom. He was said to have just earned a GED. Guerrero defeated Rios after arriving at ringside in a late 1950s Chevy, a late 1957 Chevrolet, a late 1950s Chevrolet. It was a Chevy, so it's an old car. Even wrestling in his tuxedo pants and a bow tie. Why would he arrive at ringside in a 1957 Chevy? Even he's wrestling in his tux pants, and bow tie. I don't even know why he had to do that. But arriving in a 1957 Chevrolet, great. He wanted to do that. Hey, and Guerrero turned face, and successfully retained the title against his former radical uh, buddies Saturn and Malenko in a triple threat match at Judgment Day. Before losing the title to Saturn at Fully Loaded, the two slowly began to become popular with the fans. But over the next few months, the friction began to build between Guerrero and China. China was upset. China was upset when Guerrero pinned her to advance in the King of the Ring tournament. Then at SummerSlam that August, Guerrero and China wrestled in intergender tag team match against Trish Stratus and Shawn Morley, who happened to be Val Venus, who's no longer with the company, who at the time was the reigning Intercontinental Champion. The Intercontinental Championship was on the line in the match, and whoever scored the pin would win the title. Guerrero's team won the match, but China scored the pin on Trish and became a two-time Intercontinental Champion. Although he said that he did not mind that his partner was the champion on the September 4th episode of Raw's War. He went to uh, Mick Foley, who was the then WWF commissioner. Also, he's like a on and off screen commissioner, and started asking to be inserted into China's title defense against Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, the Kurt Angle, whose live show I did based on the guy I did a live show based on, claiming that he did not want Angle to hurt his quote unquote mamacita. Yeah, the mamacita. During the course of the match, Angle he started knocking down China. He started knocking down China with the title belt. And Guerrero laid on top of her to try to revive her. However, this resulted in Guerrero accidentally accidentally pinning China as her shoulders was still on the mat, and thus Guerrero won the match and his first Intercontinental Championship. China visibly, China was like became visibly uncomfortable, uncomfortable as Guerrero began to cheat in order to retain his title, while Guerrero was upset that China was posing for the Playboy magazine. The Playboy magazine even tried to invade the Playboy mansion to stop the photo shoot. Then just when it I don't know why, just when it appeared that China would possibly leave Guerrero, he proposed. He proposed to her. That's like kayfabe and ons and it just kayfabe. It's just a storyline. I mean, Guerrero was married to Vicky, so China would leave Guerrero. He proposed to her and she accepted. At Unforgiven, China helped Guerrero in retaining his title against Rikishi The engagement was so called off when Guerrero was caught showering with two of the Godfather's hoes. Two of the Godfather's hoes, bro. One of whom would later wrestle as, oh yeah, Victoria. That'd be Victoria. You know what I'm saying? Claiming that two mamacitas are better than one. Guerrero, he turned heel again. He turned heel again as a result of the incident. Then the Radicals reunited and feuded with the reformed Degeneration X. There's China, there's Billy Gunn, there's China, there's Mr. Ass, the Road Dog, and K-Quick. Yeah, they defeated DX at Survivor Series. Yeah, they defeated Degeneration X at Survivor Series. In an elimination tag team match and assisted Triple H in his match with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Guerrero was later defeated by Gunn for the Intercontinental Championship. The Intercontinental Championship on the Thanksgiving episode of SmackDown at Rebellion. Guerrero and Malenko lost to Gunn in China. Benoit left the group. Benoit left the group to focus on a singles career, while the rest of the Radicals feuded with Lita and the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy. At Armageddon, the Radicals defeated the Hardys and Lita in an elimination tag team match. In early 2001, Guerrero feuded with Chris Jericho, Benoit, and X Pac, who's already gone from WCW in '98, over Jericho's Intercontinental Championship. At No Way Out, the four men faced each other in a fatal four-way match, which Jericho had won. Guerrero was focusing. I'll tell you this. Guerrero focusing on the intercontinental, not intercontinental, not intercontinental. He was focusing on the European title, European Championship, feuding with Test. He's feuding with Andrew Martin, uh, also known as Test. Rest in peace. Defeating him at WrestleMania X7. That's WrestleMania 17 to win his second European Championship with the help from Saturn and Malenko. Yeah, for Saturn and Malenko, bro. From Saturn and Malenko. In April, the Radicals feuded with Test and his partners. Yeah, Guerrero. He eventually left the Radicals. He eventually started leaving, but he left the Radicals, siding with the Hardys and Lita, with the Hardy Boys and Lita. At this point, Guerrero developing an addiction to pain medication, stemming from his 1999 car accident, and in May 2001 he was sent to rehab. Missing the entire Invasion storyline featured his former fellow WCW and later ECW wrestlers to explain his absence. A storyline was created where Guerrero was injured by Albert, who had to be Matt Bloom. Matt Bloom. In a match on November 9th, 2001, he was arrested for drunk driving and was subsequently released by the then WWF by the then WWF 3 days later, but he was on his way to the Indies. But Guerrero, it couldn't stop with him. Guerrero did start his wrestling career on the independent circuit after his release from the company on February 23rd. He faced Super Crazy on the debut show of Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, known as the era of Honor, begins to crown his first ever IWA Intercontinental Champion. Yeah, the first ever IWA Intercontinental Champion. That was he was crowned. It was the first guy to crown. To crown is the first ever IWA Intercontinental Champion. The Guerrero did lose the match. He lost the match on February the 24th. February the 24th, he debuted in an Australian promotion, the World Wrestling All Stars, at the Revolution, beating the champion Juventud Guerrera and Psychosis in a triple threat match for the WWA International Cruiserweight Championship on March 1st of that year of 2002. He defeated the champion CM Punk, CM Punk, Philip Brooks, Philip Jack Brooks, CM Punk, and Rey Mysterio in a triple threat match for the IWA Mid South Heavyweight Championship. The IWA Mid South Heavyweight Championship. R-Truth yelled IWA Mid South during shows, but Guerrero did drop the title back to Punk. He did. That's what happened when something when he won something. He had to go give it back. But he did drop the IWA Mid South Heavyweight title to Punk to CM Punk. One day later, on March the 2nd, he vacated the WWA Cruiserweight title, the WWA Cruiserweight Championship title belt, in April of 2002, after returning to the used to be WWF. Returning to New Japan in 2002, it means he had returned to NJPW for a brief period in March of that year, of 2002, this time unmasking himself. He aligned himself with the villainous Team 2000 stable, and he primarily teamed with Black Tiger, but he's back in WWE, teaming up with Chris Benoit. He returned to WWF, which was now the WWE, on the April 1st, 2002 episode of Raw, attacking Rob Van Dam. He feuded with Van Dam, defeating him for his second Intercontinental Championship at Backlash. After retaining the title against Van Dam at Insurrection, and Judgment Day, he finally lost the title to Van Dam. On the May 27th episode of Raw in a ladder match. In which a fan in an Edmonton Oilers jersey, a fan in a hockey jersey at Edmonton Oilers, yeah, it's an Oilers jersey. Remember that team, the Edmonton Oilers. That's the fan that wore the jersey in Edmonton Oilers jersey. He pushed Guerrero off of a ladder. Then Guerrero then, I don't know what Guerrero did. Guerrero went and punched that fan that trying to jump the barricade, trying to get the ring to interfere. So Guerrero punched the fan. And then Guerrero feuded with Stone Cold Steve Austin. But Austin left the WWE before a match could possibly take place that could take place in that night. Benoit would do what Chris Benoit would do. What did the Canadian Crippler what did the Crippler do? Chris Benoit would possibly return to the WWE the night Guerrero lost the title and reunited with him. Guerrero and Benoit feuded with the Nature Boy Ric Flair for a while, and Guerrero lost a match to Flair at the inaugural King of the Ring on August 1st, 2002. Both of them moved to both of these guys, Guerrero and Benoit, they moved into the WWE SmackDown brand. Guerrero feuded with Edge. Well, he's now at AEW now. Is the rated R superstar Adam Copeland. He's the rated well, Adam Copeland is now working for AEW as the he's no longer Edge. He's the rated R superstar Adam Copeland. He had to wrestle under his real name. Guerrero feuded with Adam Copeland, whom he lost at SummerSlam, but continued his feud with Copeland, whom he defeated at Unforgiven. At Unforgiven, they had a no disqualification match, no DQ match, no disqualification match that 4 days after Unforgiven on SmackDown, which that Adam Copeland, who had to be Edge, used to be, won, thus ending the rivalry. The Los Guerreros in championship reigns, with Benoit focusing on Kurt Angle. Guerrero aligned himself with Chavo, forming the Los Guerreros tag team in a contrast to a previous WCW storyline, an old WCW storyline, which with his nephew fully agreed with his uncle, as their slogan stated, "We lie, we cheat, we steal. We lie, we cheat, and we steal. But at least we're honest about it." To push the new tag team vignettes, the vignettes were produced, which finally included things such as the two finagling their way to a house that was owned by a rich woman, a wealthy rich woman. Yeah, they finagling their way to a rich lady's house, a wealthy rich lady's house, and throwing a pool party there. These segments have marked the beginning of the rise of the popularity for the team, especially Eddie, who continued to use the mannerisms. The duo entered into an eight-team tournament for the new WWE Tag Team Championship, sneaking past Rikishi and Mark Henry. In the opening round, well, Rikishi and Mark Henry, so Rikishi's retired. Mark Henry, he's off at AEW. Sneaking past the two guys in the opening round, that we had to be Rikishi, and you have ex WWE superstar Mark Henry, who's now working for AEW. In the opening round, before starting a feud with the newly formed tag team of Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, rest in peace. In one of the team's definitive moments, Chavo told Benoit and his former friend Guerrero was assaulted by his tag team partner Angle. Benoit Benoit ran to make the save, only to have himself locked inside a room. Guerrero then appeared in the room and assaulted Benoit with a steel chair. Benoit and Angle managed to overcome their differences and eventually defeated Los Guerreros in the tournament semifinals. Later on, Benoit and Angle, yeah, Benoit and Angle both won the title. Uh, those two have then started fighting for a trophy. They fought for a trophy, and for being the first WWE Tag Team Champions, much to Benoit's surprise, the Los Guerreros helping him win the match. At Survivor Series, the Los Guerreros have already been facing the new champions. There's Adam Copeland and Rey Mysterio. So, and the team of Angle and Benoit for the titles. Rey Mysterio submit to the lasso from El Paso to win their first WWE Tag Team Championship. They turned face due to their popularity. They lost the titles. They lost the titles to Troy Haas and Shelton Benjamin. Well, Shelton Benjamin's been let go from the WWE this year. Troy Haas has been good as gone. The Team Angle uh, duo. They lost the titles to Haas and Benjamin. Uh, they're known as Team Angle. Team Angle on the early 2003 episode of SmackDown. Los Guerreros and Team Angle feuding. They began feuding with each other. Los Guerreros participated in WrestleMania XIX as contenders for the WWE Tag Team Championship, along with the team of Benoit and Rhino. With Benoit and Rhino, both teams lost to Team Angle in a triple threat match. At Backlash, Los Guerreros lost to Team Angle in a rematch. 5 days prior to Judgment Day, his real-life nephew Chavo tore his biceps and forcing Guerrero to look for another partner. He chose Yoshiro Tajiri. And they won the WWE Tag Team titles, the Tag Team Championship. Guerrero's second and Tajiri's first. And Tajiri's first at the Judgment Day by defeating Team Angle in a ladder match. The following week, Guerrero and Tajiri, Guerrero and Tajiri, they managed to retain their titles against Team Angle by cheating. They also defeated Roddy Piper, rest in peace, and Sean O'Hare, rest in peace, in a MSG Madison Square Garden building on the June 26th episode of SmackDown. After these guys, Guerrero and Tajiri lost the WWE Tag Team title belts, the championship belts, to the world's greatest tag team, the former Team Angle tag team, on the July 3rd episode of that taping, SmackDown. When Guerrero turned on Tajiri, slamming his partner through the windshield of his lowrider truck, turning heel, and then turning heel once again. He once again started turning heel. In July of 2003, Guerrero competed in a tournament for the WWE United States Championship. He managed to advance to the final round, defeating Ultimo Dragon and Billy Gunn in the process, where he would meet Chris Benoit at Vengeance. Guerrero turned to his cheating tactics, hitting Benoit with the belt. Why did he did hit? Why does he had to do that? But he's hitting Benoit with the belt at one point in the match. Guerrero tried to get Benoit in trouble. He tried to get Benoit in trouble by placing the belt on top of the unconscious Benoit. It did not work. However, since he started knocking out the referee. He started knocking out the referee earlier with the championship belt shot to the kidneys. The match ended with an interference and a gore from Rhino 3 times. Benoit's partner, who was furious at the team's failure. Guerrero pinned Benoit and won the United States Championship, U.S. Championship. At SummerSlam, Guerrero retained his title by defeating Rhino and Benoit and Tajiri in a fatal 4-way match. He quickly reverted to being a face by engaging in a rivalry with John Cena, On the September 11th episode of SmackDown, Guerrero challenged Cena to a Latino Heat parking lot brawl match for the U.S. title, which Guerrero won with the help from his returning nephew, Chavo. His returning nephew, Chavo. Next week on SmackDown, Los Guerreros defeated the world's greatest tag team to win the WWE Tag Team Championship, making Guerrero a double champion. That's by making Guerrero a double champion, beginning Guerrero's third tag title reign. Guerrero was engaged in a feud with Big Show, Paul White. He's no longer with the company. So, which involved Guerrero giving Big Show some laxative laced burritos, then and then later spraying Big Show from a sewage truck. A sewage truck. The feud ended when Guerrero lost the United States title to Big Show at 4 days later. Lost the WWE Tag Team Championship to the Basham Brothers. That's Danny and Doug. They began feuding with them. They began feuding with the Bashams, but failed to regain the championship Survivor Series pay-per-view. Survivor Series. As Los Guerreros attempted to regain the tag team titles, things began to go downhill between Chavo and Eddie. As the animosity began to build. When then attacked and turned on Guerrero. Chavo then attacked and turned on Eddie after he suffered a beating from the Basham brothers. The Basham brothers. On the January 8, 2004 episode of SmackDown, Guerrero feuded with Chavo and defeated him at the Royal Rumble to settle their feud. After the match, Eddie attacked Chavo, causing him to bleed. That's revenge. That's where that's just where Benoit won the World Heavyweight Championship from Triple H at WrestleMania XX. That was 20. That's WrestleMania 20. When Chris Benoit jumped to the Raw brand after winning the Royal Rumble match. Yeah, that's after that match. The Royal Rumble match. Using his title shot to go for Triple H's World Heavyweight title, Guerrero won a 15-man Royal Rumble match. A Royal Rumble match of 15-man on the January 29, 2004 episode of SmackDown to earn a shot on to earn a shot. Let's see. At the WWE Championship after becoming the number one contender. Guerrero elevated himself to main event status and began feuding with the WWE champion Brock Brock Lesnar. The Brock Lesnar. At No Way Out, Guerrero defeated Lesnar in a shocking upset victory. A shocking upset victory uh, in the main event to win the WWE Championship. The victory made him a triple crown and Grand Slam champion in the process. His next feud is with Kurt Angle, man, whom he defeated at WrestleMania XX. That's 20 to retain his title in his first big defense. At the end of this event, Guerrero celebrated in the ring with longtime friend Chris Benoit, who had just won the World Heavyweight Championship. This is what's been said here. Did JBL start recounting things? The chair shot was very stiff. Eddie went deep, very deep. I had no idea until I watched that tape back now how blood there was. I have seen some bloodbaths in Japan, Europe, Mexico, and Texas. I had been in several. I have never seen anything like that. That's Layfield recounting the match between him and Guerrero at a 2004 Judgment Day event. In March, he started a feud in the match. Guerrero started a feud with fellow Texan JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield. After JBL interrupted Guerrero's title match with Booker T, the rivalry would soon the rivalry that rivalry bro would soon completely turn personal when at a non-televised live event, JBL calls Guerrero's mother. Yeah, JBL calls Guerrero's mother, who had to be Herlinda. That man just calls Herlinda Guerrero's mother to suffer a heart attack. Like it's a kayfabe. It's a kayfabe heart attack. While in attendance at ringside at Judgment Day, Guerrero defended his WWE title against JBL, retaining the title after getting himself disqualified, hitting JBL with the championship title. The match witnessed Guerrero bleed heavily midway in the match as a result of Guerrero performing a blade job after a stiff headshot ringside with a chair from JBL. It was later explained that he cut too deep. Thus hitting an artery. After the match concluded, Guerrero was persuaded to go to the hospital by a WWE producer, goes by the name of Bruce Pritchard. That's right, Bruce Pritchard. Well, remember him as the brother love character. Remember him as the brother love character. Yeah, he persuaded Guerrero. He persuaded Guerrero to go to the hospital. To the hospital where where Guerrero had that wound, stitched up, and he started receiving the IV fluids. That's what he had. That's what he was receiving, IV fluids. That's what his wound there was completely stitched up. At the Great American Bash, Guerrero defended the title. This man, he defended the title against JBL in a Texas bull rope match. JBL won it after Kurt Angle, who was like an on-screen GM of the SmackDown brand at the time. He reversed the decision after Guerrero appeared to have retained the title. On the July 8th episode of SmackDown, Guerrero pulled a switcheroo with Shannon Moore, who's no longer with the company, who was wrestling as the El Gran Luchador, uh, and he wore a costume. He wore a costume on the July 15th episode of the SmackDown taping. Guerrero faced JBL in a steel cage match for the WWE title, where the El Gran Luchador appeared again and cost Guerrero the match. He later revealing himself as Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is wearing the costume. Guerrero he started continuing his feud with Angle. The storylines there are the final ones. SummerSlam, Guerrero lost to Angle after submitting to his ankle lock. Guerrero then allied himself with Big Show each week. Angle and his new allies, Luther Reigns and ex WCW star Mark Jindrak. He began targeting Guerrero and Big Show. Guerrero defeated Reigns in a singles match at No Mercy. General Manager Teddy Long, Theodore Long, who's a general manager of SmackDown at the time. He's a he's a former he was a former WCW wrestling manager, and he started booking. This man's booking a goddamn Survivor Series elimination match. This man booked a Survivor Series elimination match that was between the teams. A team it's led by Eddie Guerrero, and there's a team that's led by Kurt Angle. Guerrero's team consisted of himself, Big Show, who's now in AEW. There's John Cena. Well, he replaced Rey Mysterio at that period. He had to take Rey Mysterio's place. He had to take the place of Rey Mysterio, and Rob Van Dam himself. The whole fucking show, Rob Van Dam at a Survivor Series. Guerrero's team, I think, had defeated Angle's team. The team is the team Kurt Angle had been in is along with is Guerrero along with the team, along with Booker T and the Undertaker. Then challenged JBL to for what, a WWE Championship rematch. Along the way, Guerrero found a partner in Booker T at Armageddon. Booker, not Booker, Guerrero and Booker's initial teamwork started to break away. It broken away like this. It broken away, and the match ended with JBL pitting Booker. Following the clothesline from hell. It's a clothesline that he uses. Afterwards, Guerrero and Booker briefly and unsuccessfully attempted to win the WWE Tag Team Championship. At the Royal Rumble, yeah, this is where the story gets conflicting. Guerrero, he entered the Royal Rumble match at number one. Awful man. Hold the mic. Let me get the mic hold. Okay. Yeah, let me see that. Yes, I know. Guerrero entered the Royal Rumble match at number one and lasted 28-11 before being eliminated by Edge in a skit. Before the Royal Rumble match, he drew his number. He drew his number the same time Ric Flair, the Nature Boy. The Nature Boy Ric Flair drew his in an attempt to get a better draw. Guerrero switched his number with Flair, and then he stole he stole Nature's wallet. He stole Nature's wallet. In the process, Theodore Long Theodore Long was like making Eddie Guerrero. He making Theodore just made Eddie return. He made Eddie want to return both items before the match. So Flair would enter number 30 at No Way Out. Guerrero then teamed up with a longtime friend and sometimes rival with Mysterio, and defeated the Bashams to win his first title, the WWE Tag Team Championship, for a fourth time, with it being Mysterio's third reign. Many expected the champions to defend their title at WrestleMania 21, but after an encouragement from Chavo, Guerrero challenged Mysterio to a one-on-one match. Instead, they could quote unquote bring the house down. The two wrestled a match at WrestleMania with Mysterio getting the win. Although visibly like frustrated, Guerrero Guerrero congratulated his partner after several mishaps in the weeks before or following WrestleMania. The growing tension between Guerrero and Mysterio finally erupted when they lost the WWE Tag Team Championship to the new team, M&M. They're made of Johnny Nitro and Joey Mercury. On April the 21st episode of SmackDown, although the next week they received a rematch to regain the titles, Guerrero abandoned Mysterio. Guerrero then abandoned Mysterio, man. He abandoned him, whom he had considered his family, quote unquote. That was like quote unquote his family. It's earlier in the show and costing them the match. This is Guerrero and Mysterio before they lose the tag titles to Nitro and Mercury. At the end of May 5th episode of SmackDown, he saved Mysterio from an attack by Chavo and Eminem before attacking Mysterio, leaving him bruised, bloody after the suplexing him onto a set of steel steps. It don't taste right though. Turning heel in the process, Guerrero then adopted a new brooding gimmick. During this time, he also stopped driving his lowriders. He stopped driving them old school cars, the lowrider old school cars. He stopped driving them down to the ring, and then he started walking to the ring slowly, with a frown on his face. Gained a new theme, which was a darker remix of Lie, Cheat, and Steal, and started using his other finishing move, the lasso from El Paso, more often. At Judgment Day, Guerrero lost to Mysterio by disqualification. Disqualification by after hitting Mysterio with a chair. On the June 30th episode of SmackDown, Eddie Guerrero, man, he's threatening to reveal a secret about Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic. Dominic Dominic's like in his 20s. Dominic's like what 26? He's like 26 now. He was like 10 or 11 years old at that time. He was like 10 or 11 years old at that time. He was a kid at the time. He was a little boy. Ray already watches him. Ray already watches Dominic, and Dominic was gonna play on that PSP uh computer gaming system. But why would why would Eddie Guerrero threatening to reveal a secret about Rey Mysterio and little Dominic Mysterio? The storyline grew to involve the families of both men, with both sides of pleading for Guerrero not to reveal the secret. Did Guerrero decide to keep it? I don't know. I don't know. He decided to keep it. I don't know if Guerrero wanted to like keep the secret. He would not reveal it, but he decided to keep it. But Mysterio decided to go to war with Guerrero. He Mysterio did defeat Guerrero again at the Great American Bash, a match with a stipulation that if Guerrero lost, he would not tell the secret. Yet Guerrero revealed it anyways. The secret, he revealed it anyways. On the following episode of SmackDown, he started telling Dominic and the audience that Guerrero, yeah, Ray's telling, well, Ray, I mean, why I mean, Guerrero did though. Why would he have to? I mean, it's by telling Dominic and and the audience that Guerrero was his real father. His real father. That's fake. In the following weeks, those following weeks in it, Guerrero would start revealing the details of the secret in a series of what he called Eddie's bedtime stories. Eddie's bedtime stories, quote unquote. During during that time, he now had a dark comical gimmick. He claimed that he had a child out of wedlock, Dominic, while his marriage was going through hard times, claimed that he then allowed Mysterio and his wife, who were having trouble conceiving, to adopt the child as their own at SummerSlam. At SummerSlam, Guerrero would just say, okay, Guerrero will lose. Like, he would lost. So Guerrero would just lose. He could have probably lost a ladder match over the custody of Dominic Mysterio. You know, to Ray, I think. Why? I mean, this is what Guerrero would do. He would have possibly lost the ladder match over Dominic's custody, over Dominic's custody to Mysterio on the September 9th episode of SmackDown. Or SmackDown with their feud ended with when Guerrero defeated Mysterio in a steel cage match. Following his feud with Mysterio, Guerrero was named the number one contender to the World Heavyweight title, World Heavyweight Championship. That title's been retired, and given a title match with Batista. Despite this, Guerrero quickly proclaimed himself to be Batista's friend. Batista was well aware of Guerrero's sneaky reputation, and despite eventually eventually accepting his friendship. Uh, Initially, to keep an eye on him, Batista would continually play mind games with Guerrero to expose his true intentions. A series of matches with Eminem only supported the suspicions of Batista. that Guerrero was up to no good. Guerrero, they say that Guerrero was up to no good, as Guerrero appeared to have reverted to his cheating ways in response to Batista's suspicions. Guerrero helped Batista win a match against his tag team partners, JBL and Christian. Batista Batista defeated Guerrero at No Mercy to retain the World Heavyweight Championship in what would be Guerrero's last pay-per-view match. During the match, Guerrero struggled with a decision about whether or not to use a steel chair to secure a victory. The victory, the victory eventually opting not to use the chair and losing as a result. He would make his entrance the following SmackDown, using his signature lowrider and old entrance theme with Batista and turning him face once again. Once again, Guerrero wrestled in his last match on November 11th episode of SmackDown, defeating Ken Anderson, who was Mr. Kennedy at that time. Was Mr. Kennedy by disqualification using his signature lie cheat steal tactics. The tactics like the lie cheat and steal, those tactics. Yeah, they'll use the tact. It will use those tactics that which allowed Guerrero to advance at the SmackDown Survivor Series team. After the match, Kennedy hitting him with a steel chair. On the date of his death, a triple threat match between himself, Batista, and Randy Orton was supposed to take place to air on the following episode of SmackDown for the World Heavyweight Championship, in which Guerrero had been booked to win the title, so Batista could take time off to heal from an injured back, but that was later denied by Batista in his own book. Orton was given Guerrero's spot in the traditional Survivor Series elimination match between the Raw and SmackDown brands, which that SmackDown will win, with Orton being the sole survivor. There's one. Let's mix here. After the death of his friend Artbar, Guerrero started using the frog splash as a finisher. He also used to perform the sequential suplexes called the Triad of Three Amigos. He would also use the variation of the Texas Cloverleaf and called it the lasso from El Paso often, including in his matches. Eddie would employ what commentator Taz would refer to as the smoking gun, a chair, championship belt, or other unauthorized item, and toss it to his opponent as the referee would turn around from a distraction. As the referee began assessing the issue or returning the item to its original location. The original location where Eddie Wood had gained an advantage of some sort to win the title, win the match. Some matches had Eddie smack a chair on the mat and toss the chair to his opponent and lie on the ground. When the referee turned around and saw the opponent had the chair, they would call for disqualification after the match, and the match would end in Eddie's favor. There's other media. That's other shit that I know of. Okay, we got something. Okay, it goes back to March 13th, 2004. Was it March 13th, 2004? Guerrero, along with Big Show, Trish Stratus, and Chris Jericho, made an appearance on Mad TV as he and the other wrestlers beat up Frank Caliendo while Ari Spears portraying uh he's portraying he's portraying as Kevin Eubanks. Kevin Eubanks, a band leader of the Tonight Show. Jeez. Watched on. There have been also there there have also been several DVDs and books released about his life and career, including the cheating, death, stealing life, the Eddie Guerrero story, the Eddie Guerrero story, uh, cheating, death, stealing life, the Eddie Guerrero storybook that's released on December 5th, 2005, after Eddie Guerrero had died. After Guerrero died in his hotel room, the Viva La Raza, the legacy of Eddie Guerrero, that's our DVD. Additionally, the song "We Lie, We Cheat, We Steal" that he performed with Chavo as released on the WWE original CD. Guerrero's catchphrase during the latter part of his career with the WWE was Viva la Raza. That's what it meant. Viva la Raza. That's which is Spanish for long live the race. In the mid parts of his career, Guerrero took the title of Latino Heat, which was also his theme song in the early 2000s. He also had been featured in the WWE's Best SmackDown matches video of its 15-year Friday night span. Friday night span. Upon the show being moved to Thursday nights on Thursday, January 15th, 2015, he features in the top five in the top 15 matches, including the number one spot where his no disqualification bout with Edge topped the list of the best SmackDown matches ever. See the video games. Yeah, Eddie Guerrero was featured in it. Uh, we'll go to his personal life. We'll break in there. We'll break in this here. Guerrero. I'll tell you about Vicky Guerrero this time. Vicky Guerrero. Uh, Eddie was married to Vicky Lynn uh, Guerrero, who's now Vicky Lee Benson, and he had two daughters. He had two daughters with her. Shawn Marie Guerrero, who was a professional wrestler, but she retired to go start that in ring announcing shit. And another daughter who had to be Sherilyn Guerrero Shaw, who's a professional wrestler. He has another daughter, Kaylee Guerrero, from a previous relationship. Guerrero was close friends with the fellow wrestlers like Chris Benoit, rest in peace, Kurt Angle, still alive, Malenko still alive, Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho, JBL and Dave Batista. Guerrero was a born again Christian. His death happened on November 13th, 2005. Eddie Guerrero was found unconscious in his hotel room at the Marriott Hotel City Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, by his nephew Chavo. In a 2020 interview for the documentary Dark Side of the Ring, Chavo explained that Eddie had passed out his hotel room bathroom with a toothbrush in his hand, and was barely clinging to life when Chavo discovered him. Eddie Guerrero was pronounced, yes, that's what I tell you. Eddie Guerrero, he was pronounced dead upon the ambulance arriving on the scene. At the scene, he was 38 years old. The autopsy revealed that Guerrero died as a result of an acute heart failure. due to underlying atherosclerotic was it atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. He is interred at Green Acres Memorial Park Cemetery in Scottsdale, Arizona. His funeral service was officiated by superstar Billy Graham, who also has a burial plot near Guerrero. The episodes of Raw and SmackDown from November 14th to the 18th of 2005. They're both filmed November 13th of 2005. Each aired as tributes to Guerrero. All storylines were put on hold, and no WWE employees were forced to perform. Although several matches took place, including one featuring Chavo, Raw started with all the wrestlers and numerous backstage personnel on stage as Vince McMahon addressed the live crowd before finishing with a 10-bell salute. In addition to Raw and SmackDown tribute shows, TNA dedicated the pay-per-view Genesis, which aired the evening of his death. To Guerrero, while Ring of Honor named their next show the Night of Tribute. Ohio Valley Wrestling WWE's used to be developmental territory back then. Also paid tribute to Guerrero on their television taping. Following his death, many of the wrestlers there wore the armbands with EG on them. Eventually, other wrestlers, primarily his nephew Chavo and friends, Mysterio and Christian Cage, paid tribute to him in their matches by using the frog splash, the frog splash, Guerrero's finisher. Combat Zone Wrestling also paid tribute to Guerrero with a 10-bell salute. During one of their cards, wrestlers CM Punk, Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio dedicated some of their matches to Guerrero. The Three Doors Down song "Here Without You" was used as a tribute song for Guerrero, as was Johnny Cash's "Hurt." The legacy is left behind here. Guerrero was regarded as one of the greatest in-ring performers, in-ring performers of all time. Let me tell you about Guerrero. He was regarded as one of the greatest in-ring performers of all time. In a poll that of the WWE roster, he was ranking as the 11th greatest professional wrestler of all time, the 11th greatest pro wrestler of all time. Ric Flair had started ranking Guerrero as the one of his top 10 opponents. While Chris Jericho, is no longer with the WWE. He said that Jericho said that uh, he was the best performer in the world when he was on. Kurt Angle named Guerrero as the second greatest professional wrestler of all time, behind Shawn Michaels, stating that Eddie could have been the absolute greatest of all time, because when I wrestled, he was still in that top three we were talking about. So Eddie had it all. He was so entertaining, but he also had all the technique. He was such a great wrestler, and he got it. He got finishes. He knew how to structure them. He knew how to structure them. WWE named Guerrero one of the most beloved and accomplished WWE superstars of all time, one of the best technical wrestlers ever, and the fifth greatest performer in the history of the company's SmackDown brand. Well, we got accomplishments. Well, let's see all his accomplishments here. Yeah, these all his accomplishments. There's all his accomplishments. There's records. Yeah. See, it's sad for Eddie to die in a hotel room in Minnesota. It was worse. It was so worse. People had to go through the type of things that this man had done. Everything this man had done, it has legacy completely brought into him. It was sad, but I gotta go see what I can do. Let me finally write this down. I ain't get a chance to. I ain't get a chance to write this down, man. Seriously, man. Let me move this thing. I'm about to get back to Google. Let me get back to Google because I fucked up on the same old shit I've been doing lately. Let me put this back. All right, I'll come. Let's screw this up here. I had to write that down, bro. No choice. Let me go back to that Wikipedia thing. Yeah, I write that. I wrote that. I write that down right. I had to go memorialize this man before I had to go end this live stream. So I gotta make sure I got it right though. I gotta make sure I got it right, bro. Come on, man. I can't even do shit. Come on. I gotta let y'all know coming up next. Coming up next, I'm gonna go do a live show coming up next. And oh, that piece of shit's worse than my goddamn controller. See, coming up next on YouTube Studio, folks. And let y'all know about this shit. Coming up next, it's gonna be a live show. It's based on the legacy of one Yaki Gaddafi, who was like the god brother of Tupac Amaru Shakur. Let me show this to you again. This is a picture of Tupac and Yaki. This is them in happier times. It's similar than the other pictures they have of them. You know what I mean? When they were kids. Coming up next, I'm gonna do a live show based on the legacy of Yaki Gaddafi. And I'm gonna be out of here, man. I'll do another live show. We had this live stream. I'm in this live stream and go do another one. Stay tuned on the YouTube studio. It's called The Legacy of Yaki Gaddafi.